Hello and welcome back to Obscure Thoughts. It's me. It's Bark. I'm in the wild, sitting at a local bench, and just wanted to talk some stuff, some obscure thoughts, some things I'm thinking, some things I'm listening to. A lot of folks, if you came over from Obscure Mike's, warning, very opinionated stuff happening here. I'm not really talking audio gear. Not talking mics so much, but I am using an Electro Voice PL10, and I've got that rigged up to a little, I'll do the thumbnail, maybe I'll just make this the picture, I don't know. My setup is pretty cool. I like the setup. It's a HC VX980 or 891 camcorder, little Donner interface microphone. Works well, everything works well, but let's dive into some obscure thought topics real quick. First and foremost, where's my notes? Oh, I know what it is. So I'm not an organized religion fan. I've went over this many times in my In the Car with Bark episodes, but I have a thought, and it's a weird one. Like, I know if you watch NDE videos, which are near-death experience videos, a lot of people have the same experience in those near-death experience videos, which is they just are happy. They feel great. I've never really heard anyone talk about like the exploring of the afterlife. Not sure exactly what I believe. I have faith, but I'm not exactly sure what I think the afterlife is. But a thought that I had, because it took me so long to find what I enjoy doing, which is podcasting, audio, video to an extent. But after 37 years of not knowing what it is that I enjoy on a hobby level, I can't help but think, what if there's no podcasting in the afterlife? What if there's no, I mean, I'm sure there's no gear, right? Like that new Rodecaster Pro 7 is probably not going to be available in the afterlife. So it makes me question things a little bit. Like, if I know theoretically, according to NDE videos, I likely won't care that there's no podcasting or audio gear or video gear in the afterlife, but what if that's what I want out of life? Like, and then what do you do if there is? Like, do you make a podcast specifically for God? Like, hey, God, episode 3's up. And he's like, well, I've already seen it, but I haven't published it. Well, I'm God. I've already seen it. Like, what? Seriously, what happens? What happens in the afterlife if you take your hobbies with you? Like, in the afterlife, I'm sure there's not manufacturing plants and trading cards and helmets or masks like AJ Good at the House of Masks. Like, I don't know if he's going to be collecting masks in the afterlife, but what do you do? What is there to do? What do you do as a hobby? What do you do for fun? Or is it just so blissful that you don't care about any of that stuff? I kind of would like to still be me and still have the likes and interests that I care about. Like, if you don't carry that stuff over, I'm not real sure about it. Not sure about it at all. And I'm going to transition not so smoothly from the topic of religion, God, podcasting in heaven, all those things. And I'm going to transition into something that I feel strongly about besides that topic. Bear with me. So we're going back to actual life, not the afterlife here. Sex. Yes, I did it. I went from heaven, hell, brimstone, podcasting for God, straight over to sex, which shouldn't really be a big deal. Everybody kind of like demonizes sexual things, sexual activity, sexual lust, sexual desires. But one question I have, if sex was specifically, now don't get me wrong, I don't read the Bible. I'm sure there's things in there about everything, but if it wasn't meant to be so openly explored and so socially acceptable, why is it so pleasurable? Like, why? And those of you out there who are fans of the sex surely can understand where I'm coming from. There's not many better feelings than a good orgasm. There's just not. And I'll get to that in a minute too. The male orgasm. I'm going all Sue Johansson on you motherfuckers. I'm going to talk about orgasms. God bless. God rest her soul, Sue Johansson. Talk Sex with Sue. If you're not familiar, go watch some. It's fantastic. She was very open. She was an older lady, and it was great stuff. But if sex was merely to procreate, why wouldn't it just feel neutral? Why wouldn't it just feel like meh? Like, I get that maybe a little bit of good feeling is to encourage sexual activity, which is to encourage reproduction, yada yada yada. But it doesn't just feel a little bit good unless you are one of those people who are 2 to 5 minutes of sex. You come, you go about your day. I think all of us are those people at some point. Maybe in the beginning, we're those people. But as you grow wiser and grow older and find the right sexual partner where you're both open and everything's not so like, ooh, no, don't go down there. I'm so nervous and insecure. Like, once you find the right person to do those things with, I mean, I'm going to admit something, a little bit of vulnerability here. I was always jealous growing up, the 20s and 30s, not talking any earlier than, late teens, 20s, 30s, so on and so forth. But I was always jealous of the female orgasm because it seemed so much stronger and so much better than us guys who are simply coming. Simply coming. And to me, just simply coming is, it got boring. It gets boring. Masturbation gets boring. Like, how strong of an orgasm can you have if you're just coming? And I hope there's no one at this place listening to me right now. But I think there's a misconception on what an orgasm is. Coming is not an orgasm. Just saying, my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys can chime in. I don't know. But it's more than that. And it took a really long time in life to figure that out. I've always been super sexual. I've always been very giving, which is another topic I'll get around to here in a minute. I've always wanted to please. And if you really think about it, like, how much sense does it make to just please, make a female come multiple times, and then at the end, you come? And it's good. Maybe not spectacular, but pretty good. As time goes on, and you find someone you have like that deep-rooted connection with, and there's all those insecurities are just gone. Like, your partner doesn't care what you do as long as it's within your boundary lines, so on and so forth. I am pretty sure that I achieved my first male orgasm. I'm sorry, obscure mic people who came from obscure mics to check this out. We're just having some real talk, some obscure thoughts talk here. But I had that first real orgasm, and I thought, what was that? That's when you know. Like, you have that when you're young, and you come for the first time. You're like, what just spewed out of me? What is this stuff? Should I go to the hospital? Should I go to the doctor? Never seen anything that color come out before. But later on in life, for me, like, and years ago, mind you, that orgasm, that happens, and that is achievable for a guy. And the reason I'm talking about sex is just opinions, just obscure thoughts here, airing them out, is there's gray area to everything, but there's also truth in generalities. And to me, at least with all the people I know and all the guys that I've been friends with over the years, the consensus is just getting off. It's not so much about foreplay, which is extremely important. Like, your foreplay should probably last longer than your penile to vaginal connection. It should. There should be a lot of play. And to me, the more play, the more you hold back, the more you fight getting off, the better the end result becomes. And honestly, the holding off and the fighting it feels better than if you were to just come in 2 minutes. Yeah, we've went there. We're all the way there. But first comes an orgasm. Then as you build, it's almost like building. It's almost like training. It's almost like becoming your peak self. You achieve super orgasm. It's not just for women. In my opinion, it's just not. It can be achieved, but you can't be lazy. You can't be the lazy person who is just in it for themselves. There has to be give and take, and there has to be a lot of give to get the right amount of take. And it's one thing I'll never understand now. Like, when you talk to people and you're in a society and you have conversations, and there are people that you come across, the majority yet again, either the wife or girlfriend is just like, sex has just kind of tailed off and waned away and faded away. And typically the guy is pouty and aggravated and like, why won't she have sex with me? Probably because it's 2 to 5 minutes of not a lot for her and just simply coming for you. And that's probably not worth the cleanup, to be honest. Think about being the female in this situation. Like, you're checking oil. You can wipe your dipstick clean. She has to drain. We're getting vulgar, I know. But it's true. Like, that stuff has to come out. Yours already came out. All you got to do is wipe it off. So, sure, super quick, simple, and easy for you. Not so much for her. Or your partner, or however you want to take it. The one who's doing the cleanup, the real cleanup, it's got to be worth it, right? I mean, it's got to be worth it. So your goal, in my opinion, like I said, going full Sue Johansson on you today, get your partner off as much as humanly possible before you yourself gets off. And if you both are kind of in that position and she or he is treating you the same way back, and at least, trying. Now, don't get me wrong. I know it's not the easiest task for a guy to get off 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. 2 times is fairly easy. You just need a 10-minute breather is all. 3 times, I feel like I've been there. Multiple breathers. I don't know. It's been a while. Usually it's, in my experience, and it's not a brag or anything like that, but like when 2 people work at it and just really need that head clearing space, because really sex is multiple things to me. 1, it's the connection with your partner. 2, it feels amazing. 3, it's one of the only times besides sleeping that you are mostly incapable of thinking about anything else. So all those daily thoughts that create anxiety, all those, compounding things that you need to get to, you can truly forget about them during sex. And if that sex is lots of foreplay, lots of give, minimal take, you're going to get a nice break from reality, honestly. Like, typically, my sessions, 40 minutes to an hour, which might be low on some people's scale, but it's a super enjoyable 40 minutes to an hour with just complete head clearing ability. And we need that as adults. That's why I'm going to title this partly as Sex is Important, because it is. Like, it's therapy. It's freedom from all your worries and all that stuff. If you're doing it well, pleasing before being pleased. Sue Johansson, yet again. Holy shit. That's what Obscure Thoughts is all about. If I think it and think it's a conversation, I'm going to have the conversation, except it's with YouTube and not someone sitting across from me, which normally, my wife and I talk about this stuff in depth. And sometimes you can't help but feel bad for the couples that are like not having good sex or not having sex at all. And typically the reason is the reward is not quite worth the work. Quotations on work, because 2 to 5 minutes is not work. You definitely need more than 2 to 5 minutes for it to be a successful session. Just saying. Let's switch over. I can't just do, nothing but sex talk. Unless we want more of that, which we can do in Obscure Thoughts episode 3. Episode 1 is on Obscure Mics. Episode 2 is on Obscure Thoughts. The rest of them will be on Obscure Thoughts. But we'll move on. I'm just saying, like, maybe think about being a little less selfish and simply more giving. Fingering, rubbing. Like, it's all good times. It's all a lot of fun. If you're not enjoying it, something's wrong. Just open up. Hold off on the penile to vaginal connection. Do something else for a while. A long while. Let's switch over because we're talking about things as we age. It's an interesting journey. Like, I feel like I'm in my late 20s, early 30s. But I'm in my early 40s. And you really do learn a lot becoming a full-fledged adult. And you realize a lot. Like, when you're younger and you're going through life, now I'm just going to sound fucking old. Some things you just don't take in with utmost appreciation. Had my first kid when I was 21. Now he's 21. And while I think I have done an okay job as a parent, I definitely think I could have done a lot better with my oldest. I was 21, so I was still in that mode of like me, and don't get me wrong, I was there and I was never not there. I'd never once, I saw my kid every day, was with my kid every day, but I was not appreciating everything that came with being a parent. I was not soaking in those moments. I was not taking in, his development. I was not, I should have been more about that, which leads me to my opinion that gray area all over the place. But in my opinion, having a kid is best done when you are close to or at 30. Just my opinion. I feel like you know who you are and you are less selfish. You've experienced that life, and we do need to experience that life. Like, I think the same thing about people getting married super young. It's kind of dangerous. You haven't really experienced enough life for a marriage to be successful. Like, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be in multiple relationships over time and be with multiple people and learn what you like and what you don't like. And the problem with being young is it's just hormones and attraction, and you just, you want to lock down the first person that you really like and call it a day. And that's a terrible idea. It's an absolutely terrible idea. It's a lot easier when you at least know most of everything about yourself. Then maybe you get married. Then maybe you have a child. And yeah, it's a little late, but and that's part of society's fault too. Like, parents and grandparents, everybody, when you going to have children at 22, 23, 24, let me fucking live. Let me live. So, I had my kid at 21, and I definitely did not appreciate it enough. I did not. Now, again, I think things have went okay. But then I had younger kids into my 30s. So I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old now that'll be 11 and 8. He's 7. 11 and 8 next month. And I've just been, you hate to say like you're a better father, a better parent to younger kids than older kids, like, but I'm admitting it. I have been a better parent to my 2 younger kids than I was to my now 21-year-old. And I can't fix that. There's nothing I can do. But I feel like having kids in my 30s, I was so much more prepared, and I was able to take that in and just appreciate it and enjoy it and lock those memories down and make it more about them than me. And it is. My kids' lives have been much more about them than it is me, because I've done most of the stuff I needed to do to figure out who I am, I suppose you could say. And the cool thing about that is, not only do I really enjoy being a parent in my early 40s, even with young kids, I also enjoy everything around me much more. It's kind of why I'm here in this place with fresh air and trees and sun and all that stuff. This is a lot more enjoyable to me than it used to be. In my 20s, I would just walk through a beautiful place and get very little from it. Now, I can't even drive by a beautiful place without stopping and getting out and just taking it in. Nature becomes so much more after you know who you are and after you've lived enough life to just kind of be accepting to sit back and take it all in. That's what she said. Yes. No. Calm down. You don't have to act 20. I can do this. I can be 40. I really can. But again, I just don't feel that different than I was in my 20s, except for the knowledge and the ability to enjoy things more. When you're young, you're going out and looking for things to enjoy. But when you're middle-aged, you don't have to look for things to enjoy. They're probably all around you, probably right beside you, right in front of you, right behind you. And it's great. I mean, really, it's absolutely great. Now, I wish that I could go somewhere that was a little more peaceful. This is a somewhat inhabited park. I definitely would like to go somewhere that's more peaceful. Boy, people just don't understand podcasting. They drive by and they look at you like, what the fuck's this dude doing with the camera on the table? Fucking talking to myself, man. I'm not crazy. You're crazy. Fucking weirdo. Not really. Don't stare at people when they're recording out in public. It's not cool. How are we supposed to blog and vlog and do the things that we want to do that we enjoy if everybody's just going to make us feel weird about it? I don't feel weird. I don't give a fuck. I care less. Obviously, I might have cared a little bit since I had to bring it up, but he was breaking his neck. Dude was completely breaking his neck. Yes, it's a camera. Yes, it's a microphone. Yes, it's not in the comfort of my own home because nature is beautiful. Take it in. Take it all the way in. Shove it in there. Your eyes, I mean. Put it in your eyes. Put it in your nostrils. Breathe it in. Love it. Caress it. Stroke it. 20 years old again. But seriously, my mind is seriously about the same. But God, everything around me just has so much more meaning. And don't get me wrong, shit is hard. I mean, adulting is just bills and life maintenance all the time. Life maintenance. Every time you turn around, something needs to be bought. Something needs to be fixed. Laundry needs to be put away. It's not easy. But that's why you got to have a hobby. Like what I'm doing right now. You have to have something that distracts from those everyday life events that can sometimes just absolutely suck. But seriously, for the most part, life is so good. Everybody on the Obscure Mike's channel gives me a lot of meaning, a lot of purpose, and I just kind of want to keep compounding on that and adding to it. And I think I'm going to end it because now people are pulling in, probably wanting to eat here. And then they can't eat here when I'm talking about orgasms and coming and shit. Not shit, just coming and stuff. Obscure Thoughts, episode 3, wrapping up. We'll have episode 4 soon. Give me talking points. You want to hear some philosophy from a weird middle-aged dude that does YouTube? Throw it at me. I'll give it to you.